Now, if you will again direct your attention to the screen for the introduction of tonight's third inductee of 2015.
Curtis L. Watson was born in Winchester, Tennessee. His family moved to Crossville when he was 9 months old, where his father practiced optometry. His dad was a partner in a Piper Tri-Pacer with 5 other doctors, but his college sweetheart's dad, Donald W. McKibben, was a Pan Am captain and became the key influence behind Kurt's later interest in and entry into aviation. Kurt played football at Cumberland County High School and made a lasting name for himself as a University of Tennessee football star in the late 60s and early 70s. Known as the Crossville Comet, he ended his career in college with a school record of 2,364 yards on 529 rushes, 22 touchdowns, at a 5.4 yard per carry average. He still ranks among Tennessee's all-time rushing leaders. Watson was a 6th-round NFL draft by the New Orleans Saints and was cut by the Green Bay Packers following a training camp injury. Kurt joined the Navy and was accepted into flight school at Pensacola Naval Air Station in September 1975. He earned his Wings of Gold June 10, 1977. During his 11 years in the United States Navy, Kurt became a member of the elite Blue Angels precision flight team. There he acquired the call sign Griz that has stuck with him ever since. Watson carrier qualified aboard the USS Coral Sea, CV-43, and served 2 West Pacific deployments aboard the USS Constellation, CV-64. In 1987, Watson joined his sister, also a former naval aviator, and brother-in-law, at Federal Express as a pilot, where he became a flight instructor, but he preferred flying the line and did so for 28 years with 9,522 hours of accident-free flights, until retiring in 2015 as an international captain on the McDonnell Douglas MD-11 and the Boeing 777. Motivated by his son's Down syndrome, Kurt Watson founded the Memphis Mid-South Air Show in 1999 to raise money for the Madonna Learning Center. The first-year donation was $213,000, and this event has donated over $1,600,000 to children's charities in Memphis that now include the Boy Scouts of America, Chickasaw Council, Madonna Learning Center, and Memphis Oral School for the Deaf. He continues to volunteer for 2 other charity events that benefit cystic fibrosis and the Susan G. Komen Foundation. For extraordinary achievement and service to aviation for Tennessee, our nation, and the world, and for his service to our country, Curtis L. Watson is honored by and inducted into the Tennessee Aviation Hall of Fame this 7th day of November, 2015.
And now present to you, and here he is, Curtis L. Griz Watson, and his friend Anita will come and put this medallion around his neck. Just don't pull it too tight. Yeah, if y'all would turn more, photographer can get that. Thank you.
I must admit I'm extremely taken back by this honor and very grateful to be here tonight. I'm also very grateful to have a lot of my friends, as I refer to them as my very close friends that were former, as I refer to them also as the Blues Brothers. My family, my sisters, my nephews and brother-in-law, a couple of my college teammates, and as I always like to kind of kid Steve Kiner that he's, for all of my faux pas, that because you couldn't start as a freshman during my time frame, we were the scout squad. And I had to run against Steve and Hacksaw Reynolds every day of my freshman career, so every time I have a major faux pas, I just want to say it's Steve's fault because I've got name damage from those guys beating up on me all of my freshman year. But I'm glad to have my teammates here and my family and my friends from the Navy. It's just an extreme honor. And also, not to forget, my colleagues from FedEx, because there's quite a few of them here also. And I'm extremely happy to have them here also. You know, I always kind of struggled at everything. At least I felt like I struggled at most things that I did. I think I took up football because, you know, it's kind of, I never thought of it as a skill sport. If you tried hard enough, you could do a fairly good job. And when I got into aviation, it was kind of a struggle also. I mean, I'll never forget my first flight out of Sofley Field in the Navy and a T-34B, and I'm working like crazy and, you know, just concentrating on what I'm doing, and all of a sudden the instructor gets on the intercom and goes, "Hey, Kurt, where are you from?" I'm thinking, why does he want to talk? So I'm flying as hard as I can, and I said, "I'm from Crossville, Tennessee, sir." "Really? What do they raise in Crossville?" Well, my dad had a farm, and he raised some green beans and hay, and we raised cattle. And he says, "Well, in Pensacola, we raised a landing gear." I remember when we got to Kingsville, Texas, there was a fellow named Tony Cook, and he had quite a bit of experience before he got in the Navy, and he would always come back and tell us about how well his hops went and how many above averages did you get, and we're kind of going, none. And it was just kind of, like I said, it just always seemed to be a struggle. Even, you know, getting out to the ship on the Coral Sea, when I carried qualified on the Coral Sea, the night qualifications in the A7, on one of my first couple of traps, I come around and I'm high fast coming down all the way, and, you know, to almost a boulder to a 4-wire. So on the third pass, I thought, you know, I'm going to fix that. So I came around and I came back on the power, and the A7 had a kind of a high-pass turbofan engine, and when you put the power up, it didn't always respond that quickly if you had it back too far. So I'm pushing the power up, the ball's going lower. All of a sudden, the LSO's going, power, power, wave off. And I've got the throttle, I've almost bent it in around the stop. And you know, if I'm not mistaken, it's 147 feet from the ramp to the 1-wire on the Coral Sea, and I've taxied 146 of it. Needless to say, I almost didn't make the fleet because of that one. But I kept working at it, and things started getting a little better, and was able to make 2 great Westpac cruises and be selected by the Blues, and that was another thing that was kind of interesting also, just being selected by them, kind of like being selected by this. You know, you're not sure how to correct them. But another 4 years of wonderful flying, and the great thing was the people and the guys that I flew with. And of course, that was my case all the way through the Navy. The guys that you flew with, your squadron mates, I always had great skippers. I was lucky in that respect. Great leadership, great people to work with. The enlisted people that took care of our airplanes did such a great job. And, you know, to get to the Blues, that was like it was the ultimate team. I'd always been kind of a team player, or at least I thought I was a team player, and that was the ultimate team. I remember how hard those kids worked to keep the planes up. You know, we could brag that we never canceled an air show because of a maintenance issue. I remember in Lakehurst, New Jersey, we're doing the diamond landing, and on a touchdown, I was number 3 on the left wing, and got a little close to the boss and jumped on the brakes too hard, and boom, boom, blew both tires. I'm going, oh man, this is not good. You know, all these people here, and I'm going to be sitting out here on the runway, and they're going to be taxiing back. And so I pull over to the side, and our runway crew comes up. They jump out of the truck. Our crew chief hold the brakes. I'm going, okay. So I'm holding the brakes, and all of a sudden I feel the right wing coming up. And I'm going, I wonder how long this is going to take. So I hit my stopwatch. Boom, right the right wing comes down. I said, geez, it fell off the jack. All of a sudden, the left wing comes up. Boom, it goes down. Those guys changed both tires in 44 seconds. And I taxied back with everybody, and nobody in the crowd ever knew I blew both tires. I mean, even getting in the Navy, I wasn't surprised I even got there, to tell you the truth, because, you know, they had a height weight restriction, and I've never fit that. So I get to NAMI and go through the thing, and, you know, I'm moving down the line. They're kind of checking our nasal passages and sinus instances, make sure you don't get sinus blocks. And the doc looks at me and he goes, oh man, somebody's been working on your nose. And he said, that's okay, that's okay. He says, the Air Force wants them beautiful, we just want them functional. And the last thing he did was an interview with the flight surgeon. And you're sitting there and he's got this glass top on the table, and I can see he's got that height weight chart there. And I'm supposed to weigh 197 pounds. Haven't weighed 197 pounds since I was a sophomore in high school. He says, have you got a question? I said, yeah, I got one big one. Before I start this, I don't want to get halfway through the program and then all of a sudden you guys kick me out. I don't fit your height weight chart. He said, you don't, do you? He kind of looks at the chart and looks at that, goes back and forth a couple of times. He says, well, you're not obese. Let's just make you 2 inches taller. Honest to God truth, I swear, they made me 2 inches taller. Every time I went back for a physical, the yeoman would say, yep, you're down, you're overweight. And then I have to say, let's talk to the fighter doc, you know, we'll work this out. But I had those were the kind of things that went on for a lot of my, but again, the people that I got a chance to work with, you know, were the greatest. And going back, you know, why did I get into it in the first place? You know, I was always into football, and when that didn't work out, you know, I was kind of working for a truck line. But I remember, you know, going to Miami, and when Donna and I, McKibben and I were dating, and you know, there with the family, and her dad, Don, was getting ready to do recurrent training. And he's got his JEPS charts out, and he's got the maps out, and he's looking through everything. And I could tell, you know, I asked him a few questions, and he stopped, and I could tell he really enjoyed sharing his experience with me. You know, and I could tell he really loved flying. My dad liked flying. He was an optometrist, but I don't think he had the passion for it that Don McKibben did. And he, you know, John he flew the 727 to the Caribbean and South America, and he said, could you fly the 746? I said, sure, I can hold that. He said, but I like to fly north and south because I only change one time zone. One of the things I should have taken a little heed to in my career with FedEx, but you know, because he made it to 98. I'm not sure I'm going to make it that far, but you know, I could tell that his love for aviation, and that's what kind of planted the seed. And then when football didn't work out for me, that's kind of how I got into the Navy and then proceeding on through my career. But I had a wonderful, it's a wonderful experience. It's kind of like Hoot said, if you know, golly, if I don't know, if it's all about fun, then I've had my share, maybe more than my share. I've flown some great airplanes. I've flown with some great people. I've met some of the greatest pilots on the earth. I got a chance to go fly with Bob Hoover one day when I was on the team. And if you notice in that picture, that's kind of an interesting picture, because if you look at it real closely, what we wanted to do was have our respective airplanes in the background, and we were standing out in front of each of our airplanes. But nobody noticed the prop position on the P-51. Of course, they cross them so that I guess you have ground clearance, if I'm not mistaken. But if you look at the picture close, the props of the P-51 are right up here like this on Bob's hat. So Dave Anderson and I signed the picture and sent it to him and said, "Ears to you, Bob." What a great gentleman and an awesome pilot. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Thank you, everyone, for being here tonight. I am truly humbled and appreciative for this honor. Good night.